This is where the nightmare begins. Quiet, cruel, and unforgettable. Freddy Krueger first appears not as a wisecracking villain, but as a silent predator. His burned flesh, ragged striped sweater, and bladed glove are horrifying. But it's not his appearance that defines the terror, it's the concept. Freddy isn't stalking his victims in the real world. He waits until they're most vulnerable, asleep. Your bed, your refuge, becomes a death trap. Once you drift off, you're his. In life, Freddy was the Springwood child killer, a man who lured and murdered children until angry parents cornered him in a boiler room and burned him alive. Death didn't stop him, it made him worse. Now he's returned, feeding off fear, slipping into the dreams of the children of those who killed him. This version of Freddy doesn't talk much. He doesn't need to. He slices, he taunts, and he manipulates reality with silent rage. His power grows with each kill, and his dream realm begins to twist physics, time, and logic. Tina's death set the tone. Dragged across the ceiling in silence, blood soaking the room while her boyfriend watches helplessly. Glenn's demise, swallowed by his bed and erupting into a geyser of blood, is still one of the most haunting visuals in horror history. Freddy's power isn't explained yet, but one rule is made painfully clear. If you die in your dream, you die in real life. And no one can stay awake forever. If the first movie introduced Freddy as a phantom killer, the second film twisted him into something else entirely. This isn't just Freddy stalking you in dreams anymore. This is Freddy possessing you. The story follows Jesse Walsh, a teenager who moves into Nancy's old house on 1428 Elm Street. The nightmares begin, but this time, Freddy doesn't only appear in dreams. He finds a way into Jesse's body, using him as a vessel to kill in the waking world. Freddy literally rips his way out of Jesse's torso like a demon clawing into reality. The logic of the dream world is shattered. Freddy no longer obeys the rules set by the first film. At a chaotic pool party, he slaughters teens while fully visible, walking through fire and chaos in the real world. "You are all my children now," he hisses, a line that chills the blood. This Freddy is crueler, more unhinged. The kills are more brutal, and the tone leans heavily into body horror. Possession, mutation, psychological torment. Freddy isn't content with killing you in your dreams. He wants to become you. Critics and fans were divided. The film broke continuity and confused audiences, but in doing so, it revealed something important. Freddy is changing. He's growing more powerful, less restricted, and more eager to cross lines, both within the story and within the genre. This is where Freddy becomes more than just a killer. He becomes a force. Nancy Thompson returns, older and battle-worn, now working as a therapist at a psychiatric hospital where a group of traumatized teens are suffering from Freddy-fueled nightmares. But these aren't ordinary victims. They fight back. Each of them learns to unlock powers inside their dreams. Strength, flight, agility, magic. They become the Dream Warriors. Freddy is different now. Still sadistic, but more theatrical. He's no longer just slicing silently in the shadows. He adapts, customizes each kill. He taunts his victims with their worst fears before delivering a uniquely twisted death. Philip is transformed into a human puppet, tendons ripped from his limbs like strings. Jennifer, who dreams of becoming a TV star, is lifted and slammed face first into a television by Freddy as he cackles, "Welcome to prime time, bitch." The line became iconic. But behind the flair is a horrifying truth. Freddy knows you, and he'll destroy you from the inside out. This film also marks a turning point in Freddy's mythology. We learn his origin in more disturbing detail. His mother, Amanda Krueger, was a nun who was trapped in a mental institution over a holiday weekend, raped by hundreds of inmates. Freddy was the result. The bastard son of 100 maniacs, a child born in madness, destined for evil. The Dream Warriors managed to wound Freddy with the help of Nancy and a fellow doctor, using both dream power and a physical connection to his earthly remains. It suggests that Freddy can be hurt, maybe even stopped, but only if you fight him in both worlds. Still, he's not finished. He never is. Freddy Krueger doesn't just die. He waits. Freddy's back, stronger, louder, and more monstrous than ever. With the Dream Warriors wiped out, a new protagonist rises, Alice. She inherits the ability to pull others into her dreams, and Freddy exploits it to fuel his next killing spree. Each time Alice unknowingly brings someone in, Freddy claims another soul. This is where Freddy starts to mutate. He's no longer lurking in shadows. He's theatrical, sadistic, and more cruelly imaginative. One girl is turned into a cockroach, her limbs snapping and skin peeling as she's crushed in a roach motel. Another is kissed to death, her life literally sucked out in a suffocating embrace. Freddy isn't just a killer now. He's an artist of agony. But Alice adapts. As her friends die, she absorbs their strengths. In the final confrontation, she uses Freddy's own power against him. She forces him to face the souls he's devoured. Their ghostly faces burst from his skin and tear him apart. Freddy's ego becomes his undoing. Freddy doesn't stay dead. This time, he infects Alice's unborn son, Jacob. Fetuses dream constantly, making Jacob the perfect portal. Freddy now lurks in pre-birth nightmares, a predator feeding on a child not yet born. It's a new level of perversion, even for him. The deaths get more grotesque. Greta is strapped into a dinner table nightmare where Freddy force-feeds her until she dies, mocking her with every bite. Mark, a comic book fan, is pulled into a paper-drawn dream world and shredded by Super Freddy, a warped cartoon version of the killer. Jacob, though unborn, becomes Freddy's target and eventual opponent. Alice and her child join forces within the dream world to destroy him. They summon the souls Freddy devoured, and the spirits rip him apart from the inside. Again, his end is gruesome, but uncertain. Freddy may fall, but darkness lingers. Springwood is dead. Freddy has exterminated its youth, leaving only broken adults behind. But he's not finished. His last goal is to escape. He sets his sights on a new victim, his daughter, Catherine. He wants to use her bloodline to expand his nightmare beyond Springwood. We see Freddy's origins in full, abused, rejected, and violent from a young age. He murders animals, classmates, then children. When the town burns him alive, he's offered power by dream demons, entities that grant him immortality in the dream realm. Freddy accepts without hesitation. The kills here are surreal. Carlos, a deaf teen, has his hearing aid twisted into a torment device. Freddy overloads him with sound until his head explodes. Spencer is pulled into a video game hell, where Freddy literally controls him like a joystick-wielding maniac. Catherine turns the tables. She pulls Freddy into the real world, stabs him, and detonates a pipe bomb. Freddy explodes in silence, but evil like his never stays gone for long. This is where the line between fiction and reality bleeds, literally. New Nightmare isn't just a sequel, it's a reckoning. Freddy Krueger escapes the boundaries of cinema, crossing into the real world through a cursed narrative. Heather Langenkamp no longer Nancy but herself, is haunted by terrifying dreams and real-world deaths that mirror the old films. Her young son begins to unravel, plagued by visions of a Freddy far more ancient and cruel than ever before. This Freddy isn't cracking jokes. He's silent, predatory, inhuman. Gone is the striped sweater, now replaced by a black trench coat, sharpened claws forged from bone and steel, and cold reptilian eyes. He's a demonic entity, pure evil, that has been caged inside the Freddy Krueger persona for decades. As long as audiences fear him, the entity remains trapped. But when the films stop, he begins to awaken. Wes Craven himself appears in the film, writing the very script we're watching. He explains that Freddy is a dark, mythological force, one that takes shape when given attention. Without stories to hold him, he slips into reality. The only way to stop him is to finish the story. Heather is forced to become Nancy one final time. She enters Freddy's lair, a warped industrial underworld of fire, tunnels, and a child-devouring oven. There she fights this demon version of Freddy in a brutal, mythic showdown. She drives a blade through him, seals him in a furnace, and slams shut a literal storybook. Pages turn. The evil is trapped, for now. This is no longer Freddy's war alone. Springwood has erased Freddy. No one speaks his name. No one remembers his crimes. Hypnosil, dream-suppressant drugs, keeps children asleep but unreachable. Freddy is powerless, forgotten. So he recruits another monster, Jason Voorhees. Freddy resurrects him, whispers into his void-filled mind, and sends him to Elm Street. Jason begins slaughtering teenagers, and fear spreads like wildfire. Freddy starts regaining strength, but he's made a mistake. Jason doesn't stop. Freddy loses control. The two icons clash over blood, bodies, and territory. Freddy is furious. Jason is stealing his kills. The dream demon enters Jason's mind, unearthing buried trauma of drowning, maternal abuse, and isolation. Freddy mocks him, tortures him. But Jason is too powerful, too relentless. And worse, Freddy realizes that Jason doesn't fear him. The final act is carnage. Freddy and Jason clash at Crystal Lake. Freddy slashes Jason with his glove. Jason cleaves Freddy with his machete. Fire erupts, blood flies. Freddy stabs Jason in the heart. Jason rips Freddy's arm off. In one final strike, Jason impales Freddy as Freddy stabs Jason through the chest. They both fall into the lake. Silence. And then, Jason rises, dragging Freddy's severed head with him. Freddy's eyes open. He winks. The nightmare isn't over. This reboot strips Freddy down to something raw, feral, and disturbingly real. Jackie Earle Haley's Freddy is no prankster. He's a predator. The burns on his face are deeper, melted into muscle and bone. His voice is low, cold, with no hint of humor. His words are venom. This Freddy doesn't play. He stalks with surgical cruelty. Here, Freddy is reimagined as a school groundskeeper, once trusted by parents, now revealed as a sadistic child abuser. The teens he haunts were all his victims, but they've suppressed the memories. Now, in their dreams, Freddy returns to finish what he started. He lurks in micronaps. 10 seconds of drifting off becomes a gateway to death. Sleep is no longer needed, just exhaustion. The dream world glitches, overlaps with reality. Freddy slices through both without mercy. The deaths are brutal and merciless. Chris is lifted and slashed while her boyfriend watches, paralyzed. Quentin bleeds out in a dream hospital that never existed. Freddy gaslights, manipulates, and corners every victim like prey. The final battle sees Freddy pulled into the real world once more. He's stabbed through the face, his body ignited, his end seemingly final. But then, in a final scene, he bursts through a mirror and slaughters Nancy's mother. The reboot fades to black with no answers, just a lingering presence. Freddy is still out there, watching, waiting. Freddy Krueger went from a shadowy boogeyman to a sadistic pun machine, to a dream demon, to a meta-commentary on horror itself. He's been killed in almost every way imaginable. Exploded, stabbed, torn open, even erased from memory. But you can't keep fear down forever, because as long as people still remember him, as long as we're still afraid to fall asleep, Freddy Krueger is never really dead. Sweet dreams. Dead.